was the announcement of the PlayStation VR 2. Now, the PlayStation VR 2 is going to be a major upgrade on the first PlayStation VR headset. I have the first PSVR. I did not use it very much, but I thought that it was a decent headset for the price and for the entry level that they were trying to go for. It was pretty good when I first jumped into it for the first time, never experiencing VR before, but then it starts to wear on you with like the screen door effect, and I think all of that is going to be fixed here with the PSVR 2. But we have the launch. It is going to be launching in February, and it is going to be $550. So I think for a lot of people that seems like a pretty steep price, and as you guys know, I'm Canadian. We look at this in the Canadian terms, it's even worse. It is $750. So very expensive headset, I would say, but we'll go over what this all entails. So PSVR headset comes with the 2 controllers. You can get a $550 version, which is just the headset and the controllers themselves, which the controllers actually do seem pretty cool because they have a bunch of haptics in it. They do have the triggers that are on the DualSense, which I'm not a huge fan of, but the fact that they've added those in there, I think is going to bring some immersiveness to VR. I think that type of stuff, when you're just playing in front of your TV, you're playing first-person shooters, you don't really want the triggers, the adaptive triggers or whatever they're called on there, because it like slows down your reaction time and everything. But when you're in a VR game, you're trying to be fully immersed into the world. I think those features on the controller will be pretty cool. But here we have it, $550 just for the headset and the controllers. And then there's another bundle that is going to be $600. And this is going to come with that game that Sony has been showing off, which is Horizon Call of the Mountain, which from what we've seen is literally just a rail. You're on rails and you're just walking through the environment of Horizon. You're going to be paying $600 for that just to get the game added in. So it's going to be a $50 game. And maybe that'll give us some insight as to how much they are going to be pricing VR games going forward, because they're generally smaller experiences. You're not going to be paying the full premium price for that. So that's the announcement. You can actually pre-order it, but I believe starting November 15th, it says. Yeah, so pre-orders will begin November 15th, and players may begin to register for pre-order starting today. So let's look at this. Let's compare this. So $550 for the PlayStation VR headset, and there are other headsets on the market right now that people can get. I think the biggest drawback, so we'll just take a look at this comparison chart. The biggest drawback here for the PlayStation VR 2 at a $550 price point is the fact that you can go out and you can get the Oculus Quest 2, or it's called the Meta Quest 2 now, for $400 or $500, so it's cheaper. They did recently raise the prices for it. It was even cheaper previously, but it's still at the current price range cheaper than the PSVR 2, and you don't need any computer or anything to be able to use the Oculus Quest 2, which we'll get to later with the PSVR 2. And then you have the Valve Index, which we can see here is lower in terms of the resolution per eye, but has a higher refresh rate than the PSVR 2. And I think this one is like $750 for the headset and the controller. So that's a more expensive one, but you're getting access to PC games where there is a much larger library of VR games that you're going to be able to play. And from what I'm hearing about the Valve Index is that it is a great headset. I'm no expert in VR. I haven't really dived deep into the VR side of video games, but those are the two main, I would say, they compare to. Now, the PSVR 2, when you look at the pixel per eye, it's better than the Oculus Quest and the Valve Index. It has up to 120 hertz, has inside-out tracking. There is a headphone jack, but no built-in speakers, which is something really odd. You think they would have added that on for the second version of PlayStation VR, because there was no built-in speakers with the first version. That was a major complaint that I think a lot of people had, that you had to plug in your own headphones to get audio. They didn't add to that at all. It's still the same thing. It looks like it's almost the exact same shell with slight adjustments, and again, no built-in headphones. So you're going to have to plug in headphones. What I'm guessing they're trying to do by not having the built-in headphones is push their wireless PlayStation 5 headphones, the dual, whatever they're called, the white ones. Guessing that's what they are trying to do here by not having built-in headphones. They want people to go out and purchase those. But here's the kicker, the biggest kicker of all with the PSVR 2, which I think is going to make a lot of people pass on it, especially at launch, is it's $550, but you absolutely need a PlayStation 5 to be able to use it. So that's another $500 in order to actually get in to PSVR 2, where we right now know there is a limited number of games. So I think that's going to be a major turnoff for a lot of people at launch. And if you were around when the PSVR 1 came out, the pricing on that thing fell relatively fast, and it also launched at a lower price. Now, when it comes to the games, again, that's the next big thing. The game selection, like I said, is going to be far worse on the PSVR 2 than if you were picking up a VR headset for PC. But they did announce 11 new games on top of the ones that they had already talked about previously, which were the Resident Evil Village VR experience. We have the Horizon, the Call of the Mountain. Then there was the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. And then there was the Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge. So those are 4 games that we already knew were coming over to PSVR 2. Games that you're going to be able to jump into right when you get the headset. And now we have 11 more games that they announced. So this is, I guess, alleviates it a little bit. You are going to have content with PSVR 2 when you do pick it up, but still far less content than what they have on PC. I would have thought that PlayStation maybe would have done something with make some sort of partnership with one of these other stores out there where you can just access it via the PSVR 2 headset and play all of the games that you can play on these other headsets. Because that's the biggest limiting thing, I would say, is the selection of games. And it would have been cool if they would have allowed you to purchase this thing and just plug it into your PC. I think that would have helped sell it a lot more too. But the fact that you do have to buy a PS5 with that, you're looking at easily over $1,000 plus all the games. Like, you're probably going to be running a bill of like $1,500 if you want to get into PSVR 2 plus getting the PS5 at the same time. But here are the 11 games they announced. There is a Dark Pictures Switchback, which is just a Rails shooter. It's a horror Rails shooter, which these games are pretty cool. They had one of these on the first PSVR as well. It was a pretty good game. And this is just like another style of version of it where you're on a cart, you're going through and you're shooting at your enemies. Those are probably some of the better VR experiences because you can't put too much in-depth gameplay when you're playing with VR, like in terms of walking around and exploring an open world. A lot of the movement, it's hard to do because people do get motion sick, but with the upgraded specs on the PSVR 2, I think that's going to take a lot away from motion sickness. I think it's going to help out a lot. Now, this is the next game, Crossfire Sierra Squad, coming in 2023. And this was... They've already had a Crossfire, I believe, on the first PlayStation VR. Here is just another version. It is a first-person shooter, like a Call of Duty style of first-person shooter. This will be one I would enjoy picking up and playing, especially with the haptics and stuff on the controller itself. Then they announced Light Brigade, and this is some FPS, like mystery style of game. Obviously not the same as like a Crossfire game. Much more low-key in terms of the graphics. Actually extremely basic looking in terms of the graphics, but it has a interesting art style that probably would be good in virtual reality. We've got Cities VR. Cities, you know, the building game, and you're gonna have like that god view of your cities that you're building, which will be cool. I think a lot of people will get into that. Cosmonious High, some quirky adventure game from the people from Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator. Then we have Hello Neighbor next, which this is a pretty popular series, and I think this will be a really, really cool game in virtual reality, like when you're just sneaking around trying to avoid this guy, and also very, very creepy when he actually does catch you, just coming up right into your face like you see here. That'd probably freak me out, but that'll be a good one in VR. Jurassic World Aftermath Collection, which is a collection of the previous games in one. You got Pistol Whip here, which is another first-person shooter. First-person shooters are obviously very prominent in the VR space. Kind of looks like that Super Hot game in terms of the graphics. But I think this one looks pretty fun, like a rhythmic style of first-person shooter. And we have this one here. Out of all the ones, I think this is the one that I would be the most interested in. This one in Crossfire, with what this is looking to be, like an action-adventure RPG style game. You have hack and slash. You're gonna have different abilities, and it looks like you're gonna be able to upgrade your character. You see, you get like XP as you take out your enemies. So, I mean, this one looks pretty cool. This could be an interesting one to play. The biggest question with games like this for me is always the traversal. How are they going to do traversal in these games? Because that's always been the cumbersome thing, I think, when it comes to playing these bigger adventure style. But I like how you can see all your stats and stuff as you're going through. So that one actually looks pretty cool. Then we have After the Fall, which I believe is just another first-person shooter. Yeah, this is a co-op first-person shooter with like monsters and kind of post-apocalyptic style of gameplay. And then Tentacular, which is an adventure game. Nothing too exciting here, like an adventure puzzle game. So there you have it. They announced 11 more games, but it still seems like a very, very slim selection for virtual reality with the PSVR 2, especially at a $550 price point. I definitely foresee this thing not selling as well as PlayStation expects it to sell, and the price dropping at some point in the future. I feel like with a device like this, I barely used the first PlayStation VR. I'll probably just wait to get the PSVR 2 until when the price drops. But let me know what you guys think about PSVR 2 and everything, with the pricing and everything that it entails in the comments below.
Bye.